Okay, so I understand you can't see what I'm writing. I am using pencil just because I don't want to damage the book underneath, and I can obviously get rid of anything where I make a mistake. But basically this is my first video on my idea, and it's not an original idea, about off-grid / wild free living. Now this idea is obviously not a new one. There's many people living off-grid. However, this idea is to do with a no capital off-grid living. So for somebody who doesn't have any money to buy land and get started with an off-grid living, you can, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but you can gain land for free in a certain aspect by finding some derelict, unclaimed, unused land, and this could be anything from like a field that is vastly overgrown, that you've noticed there's nobody goes onto that field, nobody looks after it, somewhere that you have maintained for a number of years as well. So it can simply just be a patch of land outside your house that the council, for instance, don't come and cut the grass, so you've been doing it. If you've been doing it for a few years, you are legally allowed to claim that land as long as you go through the proper channels. So there's also the case of maybe wooded land, where you could set up something, a tent, a small cabin of sorts, and as long as you live there with no opposition for something like 10 years. Again, I don't know the ins and outs of it. There are plenty more people on YouTube that know the ins and outs of it, and they know more about the laws and such on it. But as long as you've lived there with no opposition, you are legally within your right to claim that land as your own. You would most likely you would have to put up some sort of boundary. It doesn't have to be a full-on fence. You just put up, just something to show the piece of land which you wish to claim. Signage with your what you want. So your idea: I wish to claim this piece of land as my own. It's been unused, abandoned, hasn't been used for anything for a number of years, so I wish to claim this as my own. I am living here. If you wish to oppose this, please contact me on such and such. So those sorts of things you would need. But yeah, so basically I'm kind of getting a little bit fed up with the way the world is today. The fact that you can't make a living, and I think it's best for me, certainly, but it could be best for other people out there as well, to sort of kind of go back to a basics, have a land, live on somewhere that you're not paying for. I mean, why we pay to live on a planet that we evolved on, I have no idea. But to live free, and use what we have around us, grow our own food, build with natural materials. You can build a wooden structure without any metal nails in it or screws or whatever. I quite like the idea of like those round huts, sort of with the hole top in the middle, and you have the fire burning in the middle to keep it warm. I don't actually know who lived like that. Druids? I'm not entirely sure. But if you know, please comment and let me know. But yeah, so I've been doing a little bit of research into what I would need, and what the sort of laws are on what you can build and do on that land and all that, because you'd want to comply as much as as much as physically possible with the rules and regulations on land ownership and what you can and can't do and those sorts of things, just so you sort of not in anybody's eye line. You just keep yourself to yourself. You're not harming anyone or anything around that area, and usually people will just leave you alone. But yeah, so basically I'm just sort of thinking of something as a journey for myself and perhaps other people in creating a community around this idea, and hopefully seeing it come to life as soon as physically possible, really. And yeah, obviously my previous video, the only other video currently on my channel, I think is just a bit more of a background into me. I'm not really sure. I'm a 30-year-old man with a fair few mental health issues. The only one of which I've been actually diagnosed is ADHD. So some people might pass this off as just a random idea I've come up with that I'm going to hyper focus on for a little while and then it'll be abandoned. But I believe that people with mental health issues would do better getting away from modern society. Not getting away from society completely, although I do prefer to be on my own. But being away from modern society and, well, all the stresses that come with it, basically. I also lose my train of thought. So the other thing that I was in the process of being diagnosed with back in England was autism, which autism and ADHD do seem to come hand in hand, certainly with biological males. Don't know why that is. Maybe it's the hierarchy of society that we've been allowed to act in certain ways and have tantrums and allowed these mental illnesses to grow, and being sort of, I don't know what the word is, mollycoddled or coddled, in that sort of thing. But yeah, so basically, if you're interested in this movement, if you're interested in living off grid and a free living. And that doesn't mean it doesn't mean like you'd have to get rid of all your modern commodities. I'd be looking to, we'd be looking into solar power, wind power, water power, on a small scale, to have electric, and all the things that come with off grid. So your water system would be collection of rainwater, or utilizing a stream or a a spring to gain your water, and using fire or other methods in order to heat it. But you'd still be able to have electric, have car, and I'm not talking about free living as in like not ever having money, or because you're not going to want to, unless you want to completely disappear, and just live freely as physically possible. That's obviously, that would be that person's choice. For me, myself, I have other things that I need to look after. So I would have to continue to work and continue to gain money in some way, to still run my car, or and still be able to do things that way. But I would like to live as freely as physically possible, given my own constraints. So if you would be interested in that sort of thing, then drop me a comment. I do have a page on Facebook now that is just called Off Grid / Wild Free Living. So you can go check that out, and you can ask me any questions on there as well. I don't use Facebook Messenger. I can't really think of really what else to tell you about it. Obviously I would be looking for people who have skills, knowledge, or the want to teach themselves skills that would be beneficial. Stuff like foraging, growing fruit and veg, and stuff like even forging, like metal forging, building, crafting, anything that you think would be beneficial to a world where we can just sort of all live in harmony and sort of trade our knowledge and our expertise, and do things for each other that live in the community. We can also use this as a business proposal of, if you have the skills to craft things, we could sell it outside of the community to make yourself a bit of money. Obviously this would be strictly anybody 18 or over, preferably 21 or over. Just from my sort of understanding of people these days, you're not, I look back on people, and I had children at 18, 19, and I sort of look at people now that are 18, 19, and I think you are not ready to be a parent. And I look at it and I wanted it, I wanted to be a parent, but looking back on it now, I was not mature enough. I don't regret them. at all, and I love them more than anything in this world. But yeah, just so looking back on people of that age now, I don't think they have the maturity level to understand what they would be getting themselves into in this sort of thing. Obviously, you know, there are mature 18, 19-year-olds out there. But like, certainly for me, if you were coming to me and interested in it, you would have to sort of prove yourself as being mature enough. Just because it's not an easy thing to do. You are giving up quite a lot, even if you're not giving up all your modern commodities. You know, living off grid, not having like a proper address and stuff, you are giving up certain things that come with those benefits, I suppose, or benefits that come with having an address and a paper trail, a history. But yeah, so this, obviously, I'm currently going to be brainstorming and sort of mapping down ideas and what I would need and want for this project. Yeah, I'm gonna cut the video there just because I can't seem to concentrate on two things at once. I will come back with hopefully a more filled in piece of yellow card paper. And sort of show you what my ideas are, and then you would be able to give me maybe more of an insight, more ideas, or expand on my ideas. But yeah, if you have any thoughts, feelings, questions, or answers on this idea, and maybe know a little bit more than I do, just please drop me a comment. If you're interested in maybe partnering up for this project, then just please let me know. I'm currently living in Scotland, so at the moment that would be where this movement would take place and start off. And to be fair, you know, Scotland has a lot of wilderness that can be utilised, so I think it is a good place to start. So yeah, it would be helpful if you live in Scotland as well. You know, maybe we could have like a group meet up somewhere and a discussion about it. Obviously, if you live anywhere else in the UK, if you're willing to travel, you could also come and have that group discussion, or we could maybe set up something online for a discussion. But yeah, just let me know, and I will be back with more thoughts on this and hopefully a better understanding of it. Thank you very much for listening, and follow for more, I suppose. Thank you very much. Bye.